My brother stole my business idea, so I let him. This happened about 4 years ago, and even now my family still argues about it at holidays. For context, my older brother Jake has always been the golden child. Growing up, Jake could do no wrong. Good grades? Jake was a genius. Average grades? Well, he's trying his best. Meanwhile, I was the quiet kid who stayed out of trouble, worked part-time, and kept my head down. If Jake forgot to do chores, my parents would shrug and say he was busy. If I forgot once, it was a lecture about responsibility. It wasn't the worst childhood in the world, but the favoritism was obvious, and it never really stopped. Fast forward to when I was 26, I had been working in marketing for a few years and had started a small side project. Nothing huge at first, just an online shop selling customizable desk accessories for remote workers. This was during the time when a lot of people were starting to work from home, and I noticed something. People wanted their desks to look nice. Clean setups, minimalist designs, matching accessories. So I started designing things like custom desk mats, cable organizers, small magnetic boards, personalized keyboard wrist rests. At first I was selling maybe 3 or 4 items a week, but slowly it started growing. Then one month I made $2,000. The next month it was $4,000. By the end of that year, my little side hustle was making more money than my actual job. I was proud of it. Not because of the money, but because it was mine. I had built it myself from nothing. The only mistake I made was telling my family about it. At a Sunday dinner, my mom asked how work was going. I casually mentioned that my online store had been doing well. My brother immediately perked up. Jake had always bounced between jobs, sales, real estate, crypto trading, you name it. Every time he had a big plan that would make him rich, and every time it failed within a few months. So when he heard about my store, his eyes lit up. "Wait," he said, "you're making real money from that?" I shrugged. "Yeah, it's doing all right." Jake leaned forward. "What exactly do you sell again?" I explained the concept. Remote work accessories. Custom desk setups. Branding, packaging, social media marketing. All the stuff I had spent months figuring out. Jake listened carefully, too carefully. At the time, I didn't think much of it. That was my second mistake. About 2 weeks later, Jake called me, which was unusual. We weren't super close. "Hey man," he said. "I've been thinking about what you told me about the store." "Yeah, I think the remote work thing is going to explode," I agreed. "Probably." Then he said something weird. "I've been researching the market." I paused. "Why?" He laughed. "Just curious." That should have been my third warning sign, but I ignored it. A month later, I got a message from a friend. He said, "Is your brother copying your business?" I thought he was joking. "What?" He sent me a link. It was an online store selling desk accessories, custom desk mats, cable organizers, keyboard wrist rests. Even the product description sounded familiar. The branding was slightly different, but the concept was almost identical. And the store owner, Jake. I stared at the screen for a long time. Part of me thought it had to be a coincidence. Maybe he just liked the idea. Maybe he wanted to do something similar. But then I looked closer. The product photos were eerily similar to mine. The color schemes were similar. The layout of the website felt like a slightly altered version of my own. He had basically taken my business model and rebuilt it. Without telling me, without asking. Nothing. So I called him. He answered immediately. "Hey, Jake," I said. "Why does your website look exactly like my store?" There was a pause. Then he laughed. "Oh, that? Yeah, that. It's not the same thing," he said quickly. "It literally is. No, yours is more design-focused." I blinked. "What? Mine is more business-oriented?" That made absolutely no sense. "You're selling the same products," I said. "Well, yeah, but lots of people sell desk accessories." Technically, he wasn't wrong, but he had clearly used my idea as the blueprint. Then he said something that really annoyed me. "Relax, man. There's plenty of market for both of us." I didn't yell, I didn't argue, I just ended the call. Because honestly, I was shocked. But the real drama didn't start until the next family dinner. At dinner that weekend, my mom brought it up. Jake told us about his new business. I looked across the table at him. He smiled like nothing was wrong. My dad nodded approvingly. "Entrepreneurship runs in the family." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I said calmly, "Yeah, it's basically the same thing as my store." My mom waved her hand dismissively. "Well, you don't own the idea," Jake smirked slightly. And that's when I realized something important. My family didn't see a problem with what he did. To them, Jake was just being ambitious. But the worst part hadn't even happened yet, because a few weeks later, something strange started happening to my business. Orders started dropping. Website traffic slowed down. And when I searched my own product keywords online, Jake's store appeared above mine. He was running massive ads, promotions, discounts, bundles, things I couldn't afford yet. And slowly, customers started going to him instead. That's when I realized the truth. Jake hadn't just copied my business. He was trying to crush it. At first I was angry, then frustrated, then honestly, a little impressed. He had clearly gone all in, investing money, running ads, scaling fast. But after a few weeks of thinking about it, I made a decision. I wasn't going to fight him. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't even going to confront him again. Instead, I let him take the business, completely. Because Jake didn't realize something very important. The store wasn't the real asset. And in about 3 months, he was going to learn that the hard way. When I say I let him take the business, people usually assume I gave up. That wasn't the case. I just understood something my brother didn't. The store itself wasn't the real business. See, over the year I had been running my shop, I learned something important about selling online. Products are easy. Anyone can find a manufacturer. Anyone can copy designs. Anyone can build a website. What actually matters is the audience. And the audience I had built was something Jake completely ignored. Most of my sales didn't come from random website visitors. They came from my email list and my social media community. Over the year I had been running the store, I had built an email list of about 18,000 people, a small but loyal YouTube channel, a TikTok page where I posted desk setup ideas, a newsletter about productivity and remote work. Those people didn't just buy desk mats. They followed me because they liked my content. Jake didn't understand that. All he saw was a website selling products, so he copied the website. For about 2 months, it looked like he was winning. His ads were everywhere. When you searched custom desk mat or desk setup accessories, his store showed up first. Meanwhile, my website traffic dropped. Orders slowed. My revenue went down almost 40%. At family dinner, Jake started bragging about it. "I just had a $20,000 week," he said casually. My parents looked impressed. "Wow," my mom said. "That's incredible." Then she looked at me. "Maybe you two should work together," Jake laughed. Yeah, he could help me with the marketing stuff. I almost choked on my drink, but I didn't say anything, because I had already started building something else. Instead of competing with him, I slowly shifted my focus. I stopped pushing my online store as hard. Instead, I started making content, desk setup guides, work-from-home productivity tips, reviews of office gear, videos about building a comfortable workspace. People loved it. My YouTube channel started growing faster than ever. Then something interesting happened. Brands started reaching out, keyboard companies, lighting brands, chair manufacturers. They wanted sponsorships, affiliate deals, product placements. Suddenly, I wasn't just selling desk accessories. I had become part of the remote work creator space. Meanwhile, Jake was still just running a store. And stores have a problem. They're expensive. Ads cost money, manufacturing costs money, shipping costs money, returns cost money, customer service costs money. Jake had scaled fast. But scaling fast also means burning cash fast. And since he didn't really understand the niche, he made mistakes. Lots of them. One of the first mistakes was quality. Jake found cheaper manufacturers so he could increase his margins. But cheaper manufacturers meant worse products. Customers noticed. Reviews started appearing online. Mat arrived damaged. Colors don't match photos. Took 3 weeks to ship. My store had built a reputation for quality. Jake's store didn't have that yet. So the negative reviews started stacking up. Then came the second mistake. Jake relied almost entirely on paid ads. If he stopped running ads, traffic stopped instantly, but ad costs kept rising. Eventually, he had to spend thousands just to maintain sales. and that's when the cracks started showing. About 4 months after he launched his store, Jake called me again. His voice sounded different, less confident. He said, "Hey, so, quick question. Sure. How do you deal with refund requests?" I paused. "How many are you getting?" He hesitated. "A lot. That didn't surprise me." "What about customer emails?" he asked. "I'm getting hundreds." I explained the systems I had built over the year. Automated replies, return processes, quality checks, things that take time to learn. Jake sighed. "Man, this business is way harder than it looks. I didn't say I told you so, but I definitely thought it." A few weeks later, the real meltdown happened. My mom called me. "Your brother's really stressed," she said. "Oh? His business is struggling." Apparently, Jake had spent most of his savings scaling the store. Inventory, advertising, warehousing. Now the profits were shrinking because refunds and ad costs were eating everything. He had revenue, but not much profit, and that's a dangerous place to be. Then came the moment I had been waiting for. Jake asked if we could meet for coffee. When I arrived, he looked exhausted. Dark circles under his eyes. Laptop open. Sales dashboard on the screen. "I think I messed up," he said. I stayed quiet. He rubbed his face. "I thought this would be easy." "You made it look easy." There it was. The real reason he copied my business. Not greed, not revenge. He just thought it was simple. Then he asked the question I knew was coming. "Would you want to partner?" I raised an eyebrow. "Partner?" "Yeah," he said quickly. "You know the marketing and systems, and I've already built the store." I almost laughed, but instead I just shook my head. "No." He looked surprised. "Why not?" I leaned back. "Because I don't need the store anymore." He frowned. "What do you mean?" So I showed him something. My YouTube analytics, my affiliate dashboard, my sponsorship emails, my content revenue. Jake stared at the screen. "You're making that? Just from content?" "Yep. No inventory. No ads, no shipping. Just an audience that trusted me." And that's when it finally clicked for him. He hadn't coppered my business, he had coppered the smallest part of it, the store, not the brand, not the audience, not the trust. A few months later, Jake quietly shut down his store. He never made a big announcement, it just disappeared. At the next family dinner, nobody mentioned it, but something had changed. My parents finally saw that what I had built wasn't luck, it was work. Real work. And Jake stopped treating my ideas like something he could just take. To his credit, he did apologize later. Not in some dramatic speech, just a simple message. "I shouldn't have coppered your idea, I thought it would be easy," I replied. "It's never easy. The funny part is, we actually get along better now. Because after that experience, Jake finally understood something I had known all along. Building something real takes time. And you can't steal the part that actually matters."